chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneZona Sports, live with DJ Matty C. and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back for another live show, another one coming at you. And, without further ado, I'm your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callan, a.k.a. Matty C, a.k.a. Callie, etc., etc., etc. And without further ado, from Woods and Shores Studios in Aiken, Minnesota, Paul Voldy. Shield. What's going on, Shield?
It is another landmark day today. A great day it is because we've got the Zone, MinneZona Sports Live. I am feeling fantastic, ready for another great show.
And by the way, Voldy, I love the jersey. I said this before the show. The Vikings should take note of that, and I think the owners would agree because, that's got to happen, but the all-black has to happen too, Voldy.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Fantastic, but we'll get to that at another point in time. And the Kerf Doctor is here as well, keeping us looking good, sounding good, and everything like that. So we are ready to go with some, man, I was getting it out of the oven, and it was kind of cold. No, it's Tater Tot. Hot take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
I'm telling you, the Tater Tot Hot Take is never cold. It's never, ever, 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 ever cold. By the way, the trademark is still pending, I believe, from our creative consultant. Hopefully, I think at some point we'll get it. It's just a matter of when. So, anyway, Voldy, the first hot take I have for you today, we're going with the Wolves. And I think a lot of guys love the Timberwolves. Oh, yeah, Kerf Doctor with the dun-dun-dun-dun. Yeah, the Kerf Doctor, we have a lot of Wolves fans, and I don't think they appreciated that. But anyway, yeah. Will Rattel, Cole Munson, just to name a few. But we have to talk about this because it's been a while, and we got to, talk to the zoners a little bit. Okay, so... Voldy, I think we've been saying this for a while, and as you can see in the lower third, let the rebuild begin. And I should have said again and again and again, we get the gist. But I thought this article was interesting from Bring Me the News. And in the midst of a pandemic and everything like that, you kind of look at things and say, okay, well, the Wolves aren't in the bubble to actually, play in this, finish the season. But they might be playing, have like a little mini camp, training camp in Chicago, and whatnot. So the Wolves have a lot of things to figure out. For one, yes, you get D'Lo, and you have Cat, you have Malik Beasley, guys like that are young and are more than willing to help this team out. And Rosas has done a fantastic job. Wolves are probably going to get, hopefully, if they get the first pick, they have a 14% chance to get the first pick, Voldy. And people have been saying LaMelo Ball. There's a lot of, I don't know if we want that. I don't know if I want that because I got a feeling even if we do draft a guy like LaMelo Ball, you know, who comes with it. And how in the world are we going to deal with that? And I could definitely see this going south very quick. And he might be, he might not be a Wolf within 2 years of when he, you know, got drafted. So I don't want to go into that, but I do want to ask you, Voldy. I know we're talking basketball, but we need to get to, you know, a couple things. So first, they have the mini camp. You know, I think they're more than willing, ready to participate. There's young guys on the team and whatnot. So what are you kind of expecting from this mini camp that they'll hopefully be having, you know, pending anything going wrong with the pandemic?
I mean, there's a lot. I shouldn't say there really isn't a lot to go off of from what the Timberwolves had. I mean, what was it, a couple years ago that the G League team for the Timberwolves was a game away from winning the G League championship or the Summer League championship, whatever it was. The closest the Timberwolves are ever going to get to a championship at this point might as well be for something that doesn't even count towards anything.
Sure.
It did lead to a couple of guys getting some contracts, and Naz Reid was one of them as well. You know, it's only going to do good for some of these players.
Sure.
You know, the guys that really need to step up and really prove themselves. See a little bit more of Cat and D'Lo out on the floor. I mean, that's what they need. They need those reps. They need that time together on the floor because they only got a brief snippet of what the true potential could be during the regular season. Now you're ending the season for them and then not going to be able to play a full season till the start of whenever it's going to be because we don't know. It could start in December, it could start in November, it could start in February for all we know. Nothing's talking about next season yet because they haven't even started this season. And there's still a lot of time before that even begins. That's a whole nother topic that we need to talk about another time. I mean, this just needs to figure itself out.
Sure.
You know, kind of let things play out. Obviously, there's been a lot of time off since they last played a game. So my expectations are about as low, as very low as it can be on camera while also showing my appreciation for the Timberwolves. Just get as low as possible. Will there still be just a tiny little sliver of daylight?
Well, again, you know, you got to have some positivity because that's the only thing that you can have with the Timberwolves. And
exactly.
I think one thing that I was looking at here, Voldy, from this article, is that there was only one game that Towns, Beasley, and Russell played together. One. And again, it was very early because you just get D'Angelo Russell, Beasley, and whatnot. And Russell and Beasley only played 12 games together, too. So, but we can't forget how well Beasley and Russell played when they got here. I mean, it was basically kind of like they threw whatever they had, the Wolves, you know, had at the beginning of the season, and they're like, you know what, screw it, just play. It worked, you know? That's the thing, is that they actually were like, I'm having fun with this. I'm scoring a lot of points. Beasley was on fire. D'Lo was on fire as well. But, you know, again, you look at this team, and it's like, well, we're doing this again, this rebuild and everything like that. And yes, the Wolves have had bad luck, okay, with Jimmy and everything surrounding that. But people need positivity, like I told you, Voldy, with this team. And I think with D'Lo coming in, he feels loved by the Timberwolves faithful. He is loving every minute until, obviously, pandemic hits. But this is something that I think when they go into this mini camp, they can really come together as a team and add some more free agents, add, you know, some guys from the draft. And they definitely can get some more firepower. And Rosas, I think, has done a phenomenal job. Ryan Saunders as well. So I think we got to factor that in. And, you know, Zoners chime in here too. I mean, this is something that will help, not only help the Wolves, but it will, you know, hopefully down the road. But again, who knows? A lot of things can change with this team. This isn't a Vikings thing where, okay, you're consistent, you're almost there. It's just like Wolves. It's like, oh, look at this. And then, boom, It's just a tragedy. So, again, I can't wait to see what happens. And, with the Wolves lock in the draft, that's the one thing you're kind of like, you cringe. Because there have been very, very, very bad picks. Johnny Flynn, passing on Steph Curry. The list goes on, so I don't even want to get there. But anyway, they have a 14% chance of getting the first pick, but that goes to about the fifth pick, where it's a 14.8% chance, 26% chance they get the sixth pick. So, Voldy, we were talking about draft a little bit not too long ago, and it's weird with the lottery and everything like that because, again, it could be a team that wasn't very good. They kind of tanked it, but they have some good players. They had injuries. But then what if they get the top pick? Like, what? If it was the Knicks and they end up getting, the seventh pick or, the third pick. So, Voldy, I feel like they need to change the whole dynamic of the draft because I don't think it works. And again, you can say, well, the Knicks got robbed out of not getting Zion Williamson, but the Wolves could be getting the seventh pick when they definitely deserve the top three. So, Voldy, do you have any idea of what the NBA should do with the draft?
I mean, we talked about this a while ago, talking about how the draft lottery, the system that it is in every other sport but the NFL, is complete garbage.
Right.
Because the NFL, it works out real simple. Worst team gets the first pick, second worst team gets the second, third worst team gets the third. Everything after that, depending on trades, who got this pick last year, yada, 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 works itself out. Best team gets the last pick, worst team gets the first pick.
Right.
That's how it should be. How difficult is that? And there's some guys out there saying you shouldn't get rewarded for stinking it up last year. Well, you should get something.
Yeah.
You should get something. You should get help, and that is what the top draft pick is for, to help build up your team. I was always very confused by the fact of why the team that always had the worst record in the NBA, more times than not the Timberwolves, wouldn't get the first overall pick because the whole draft lottery, you get the most ping pong ball chances out of the little thing. Still never worked out. The one time it did, ended up pretty all right for the Timberwolves, but it just baffles me how much goes into it and how little of a reward it gets for some of these teams. Yes, New Orleans got, the gold mine that is Zion Williamson while the Knicks got shafted. Well, don't blame us. Blame those ping pong balls, and you should have sucked even more last year to get even more chances, but you still didn't get the first overall pick. Tuck your tail and go home. Change the NBA draft lottery. Just change the NBA draft overall.
Yeah. And, Perf Doctor was loving that, and I think the zoners would agree too. I mean, things got to change with that because
they do.
It doesn't make any sense. It's like, well, if you get the first pick, if you have to get a certain set of ping pong balls, and then you have more of a chance to get it. It's like, if you were the worst team, you get the first pick. Unless, it's to help you, but look at the Browns, okay? They're still the Browns. They screw up their first-round picks. I'm comparing, the NFL to NBA here. But, again, that's the thing is, there's going to be hits. There's going to be misses. But if you're a team like the Browns, it's a different story. But I will say, Voldy, that we have to think about the Wolves here. I think, they haven't had much luck in the draft about getting, the number one pick. I mean, obviously, you get Cat, I think Derek Williams was the second pick for the Wolves. Didn't pan out. So, again, I think Rosas definitely knows what he's doing, and we'll see what happens. But, again, another rebuild. Here we go.
Exactly.
So, Anyway, moving on. So this hot take, we're going to the land of the purple. Okay, so this is going to be a little different, Voldy. So there's 5 Vikings players that take up a lot of cap room. Okay, and the zoners know, and I know, the Curve Doctor, Voldy, you sure know, who's at the top of taking a lot of cap room. So
Oh yeah.
I'll give you a freebie here. The first one is none other than Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. That guy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
40 mil. Okay, so that is a lot of money. But it's not Patrick Mahomes' money. We'll get to that in a bit. So, Voldy, who is right under Kirky?
Oh.
Zoners. Chime in.
I honestly, after 40 million, that's probably the next guy at like 6.5 million or something. I don't know how much the Vikings are spending nowadays, but they're putting all their eggs into one basket. That's for sure.
They are. But number 2 is none other than the jersey that you're wearing. Daniil Hunter. 12 million. Right. Okay, so Daniil, obviously he deserves it. He's in the second year of his 5-year deal, 72 million. And, the guy is a beast. And I think he's going to be getting another payday, after his first contract. So, Daniil Hunter at number 2 for the Vikings, for the cap room. All right, so, number 3. And I think this one, I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
I'll give you a hint now. This guy is a defensive back.
Defensive back?
Yes. I don't want to say the position because
it'll give it away.
Yeah.
Is it Harrison Smith?
No, it is not.
No.
Anthony Harris. Anthony Harris. Remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He was franchise tagged. And
that's right.
What happens is when you franchise tag, there's a lot of money that is given to the player just to kind of give it like, oh, we'll work on a deal here later.
Right.
Anthony Harris, 11.44 million. So that's a big sum there. But hey, I think to see what happens next season will determine if he's going to stay a Viking or the Vikings are going to be like, I think we can get someone in the draft. But I don't want to get rid of Harris because he was fantastic last season. So, again, that's number 3. So, let's go to number 4, Voldy. This guy, okay, I'm going to give the zoners a hint here, too.
Oh, goodness.
This guy is on the offensive line.
Oh, it's not hot garbage Riley Reef, is it?
Ding, 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 ding. 11 million. 11.
Nobody's going to take that contract.
Voldy, I've been saying this for a while. People know how I feel about Riley Reef, but
everybody does, yeah.
I don't know. This has gone on for too long. And
that it has.
Reef, again, he is an average tackle at best. Okay? I'm serious. He is an average tackle. He's in the 3rd year of a 4-year, $58 million deal. I mean, come on. Oh, my goodness. So, yeah, he's number 4. He's number 4. So, we can get into it later. But
yes, please.
The last Viking to take up some cap space, he is on the defense, and he is a linebacker.
Well, it's one of 2 guys, so I'm gonna flip a coin here. Of the 2, I'd probably say Anthony Barr.
Ding, 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 ding. Yes.
Yeah, 2 for
Voldy,
5. Here we go.
Hey, at least you got 2. You could have got put in Cleveland. I agree, Victor. Put him in Cleveland. I assume it was a Reef because we were going right into Barr here, but yeah. So Barr is 10 million, but that's going to go up because he got that new deal. 5-year, $67 million deal. I mean, crazy. Absolutely crazy. But Zimmer trusts him, and you know what? Let's see what Barr does this upcoming season, if there is a season. So those are the top 5, Voldy, and I guess it really doesn't surprise me. I didn't know how much of a cap hit Riley Reif's contract was until I saw this. I mean, if he is number 4, why haven't we traded this guy? I mean, Come on. It's just baffling to me. I mean, it's such a good tater tot hot take because after I'm seeing this, I'm like, I know that it's a big cap hit, but I didn't know it was that big, especially with the Kirk contract. I mean, crazy. But those are the top 5, Voldy. And I think we got to switch gears because we haven't done this in a while.
No, we haven't.
It's Voldy's virtues. Voldy, this is a very interesting topic. And you don't know which side to kind of be on with this. And we're going to see as you explain it for Voldy's virtues.
He has emerged from the temple of wisdom. Gather round for Voldy's virtues.
Okay, Voldy, it's time for you to enlighten us and the zoners. So, take it away.
So as DJ Matty C kind of said beforehand, I'm not really sure where I'm going with this one, but this has been a hot button topic for quite some time. For a lot of situations and a lot of teams, there has been ongoing battles with identity, nicknames, and overall political correctness. So we're talking about what's in a name. Most recently, talks have been high about the Washington quote-unquote Redskins changing said name before the start of the season. Now, this has been something that's been in the headlines recently. It comes around every start of the football season, but of course, with all the social unrest, social injustice going on as of late within the last couple of months, or even within the most recent time as well, this is something that continues to be something that is evaluated and seeing a lot more action within the last few weeks. Of course, most recently, everybody's just been, all those that have battled against the Washington quote-unquote Redskins to change their name have gone straight to the source. Ownership, players, front office staff. This time they've decided to get a little more creative, talking about going after sponsorship. FedEx is now saying that the Redskins, quote-unquote Redskins, need to change their name. They're the ones that have the name on their field. It's FedEx Field in Landover, Michigan. They've even gone after Nike as well. A whole bunch of investment groups have sent letters telling them that they need to pull their sponsorship from Washington's football team as to oppose than just letting it go right by. Nike's even taken down all their stuff to say, hey, you know, this is not happening anymore. You can't find it, Washington football stuff on their websites anymore bearing that name. There's been a lot of action with this going on for quite some time. I don't really know how to feel about it. That's the main thing that I've kind of struggled with this topic. I think the Washington football team should change their name. It's been something that's been talked about for years. Should have been a long time ago. Dan Snyder, the owner, he's got his head in the clouds right now, and he's just trying to cash as many paychecks as he can before they oust him. Horrible owner in a lot of situations overall. This is just not beyond, football. They've gone to the Major League Baseball ranks. The Cleveland Indians have changed a lot of things as of late. A couple years ago, they decided to remove any logos associated with the team that had the old cartoon Indian head logo, barring the multiple reruns of the movies Major League 1 and 2, and possibly even, the rare off chance that it is shown on TV, which is almost at least 2 or 3 times a week. They don't use that logo. They haven't done it anymore. Use the letter C or just the big I for the Indians. Cleveland's talking about changing their name.
Yep.
Players are saying they should change their name. The manager, Terry Francona, says that they should change the name. There's serious talks about that as of late. Now that, the ramifications of that for professional sports, there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
There's public relations, there's merchandise, there's trademarking, and you gotta file all that before you can even start thinking about changing anything with the actual on-field, uniforms, hats, T-shirts, anything that's got logos printed on that. There's so much that goes into it, so that may take some time before we actually see any movement with that. But going into the college and high school ranks, there's been a whole bunch of movement with this as of late, with universities, high schools changing things as well.
Yeah.
DeUville College, I believe, which is based in Buffalo, New York, decided to change their name from the Spartans mascot to the Saints. Now, this is a little interesting. A lot of these are going on. Some of these historical, cultural, mythological, figures and mascots are being changed. Saying the culture of, the background and everything with that is not exactly politically correct in the current landscape of things going on. To me, that seems a little far-fetched. We start going into that, start being nitpicky about a lot of this stuff, there's not going to be any mascots left. You could literally make a case for anything, any type of mascot out there, and it could be offensive to a handful of groups. That's what it seems the world is going into at this point. DeUville College went from the Spartans to the Saints. Boston University, the BU Terriers, are considering changing their name from the Terriers because of a link to the movie Gone with the Wind. One of the oldest movies out there. The movie is like 2 days long. You can't even watch it in one sitting unless you want to, plan your whole weekend around it. There has been rumors about this. Now, for actual changing and said name about it, I don't know. Because it reflects racism in society. The movie Gone with the Wind. Yes, it was made at a time where social injustice, racism was front page. Everybody knew about it. Nobody said anything about it, but it was there. Mm-hmm. It's a movie made about the Civil War in the 1930s. One of the actors that ended up winning an Oscar for it couldn't even attend it because she was African American. Now that seems again, this comes back to my topic. We couldn't have any mascots unless you start naming them the Fighting Steves and the Fighting DJ Matty C's. You couldn't do it. Yeah. Because somebody's going to find something wrong with everything. Yeah. And this is where I keep going back and forth. Where do we draw the line is my next question. Where do we go? University of Nevada, Las Vegas, UNLV, the Running Rebs, the Fighting Rebs. Not anymore, apparently. They're not going to be the Rebels anymore. Quite possibly. They're already taking down a whole bunch of signage, memorabilia, all sorts of mascot paraphernalia, because the Rebels, obviously linked to the South, Civil War, racism with that, gone. I guess they're just going to be UNLV from nowadays. No mascot. And this continues further and further. San Antonio College is changing the Texas Ranger mascot. Okay. Another interesting proposition. Why? There's just so much going on. Like Easy A is saying, my brain, me too. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's going. There's so much uncertainty in this world. Now you start changing people's entire backgrounds, basically. Yeah. A lot of people maybe went to these colleges, some of these universities. Yes, the mascot doesn't make the person who you are, but when you identify with something that was as prevalent in your line, there is just no way to know what's coming next. Yeah. Colleges and high schools, universities changing mascots, professional teams changing. Who even knows if some of these teams are going to be playing in the next few months? There's been already canceled sports for the fall season, some colleges, universities, and leagues. Well, my thought about this, where do we draw the line? Where does it stop? Where do we just take a moment, look ourselves in the mirror, and just say, where does it end? Yeah. Where do we go? Because obviously nothing is sacred anymore, everything's out in the air, out in the open, which is good. Certain situations, it's great. You have to put that out there. But when you start attacking things that not even in people's control 20 years ago, 5 years ago, 5 minutes ago, there's just nothing is positive or coming out of this as a greater good. It's just all talking about the fact that people just want to pick a fight and just do what they want to make themselves relevant. And I don't even know where to go with this anymore. So this is where I'm at. I still don't know how to feel about this. There's a lot of things. I see it from both sides, but I can't make a choice and go right down the middle. I just can't do it.
Well, I want to chime in here. So for the Terriers one, I don't understand why they want to get it, because isn't it just a dog? Right?
It is a dog. It's literally a Boston Terrier dog that's probably about yay big.
Okay, well then, I don't know. Like people here, like I just need this to be explained to me why that was so wrong. Okay, now I feel like that's an outside, and again, I'm no expert whatsoever on the names and stuff, but the Washington Redskins, that one should have been gone long ago, because that is a very racist thing for, if you would call a person that has Native American heritage and you call him a Redskin. I mean, come on, that one should have been gone. Okay.
Absolutely.
There are other names. And Dan Snyder, you said his head is in the clouds. Well, I look at this, his head is buried in the sand. And the thing is, he wants it to go away. And that's the issue. It's like, you need to take initiative and say, we will change it. We understand where you guys are coming from. Okay? But he doesn't want to accept that. He's just like, go away. Tradition, blah, blah. Who gives a damn about tradition at this point? Just change the name. Okay? Now, I understand what you're talking about with a lot of these other teams. Like, UNLV, another thing too. It's like, okay, you can make that argument, but at the same time, I mean, like you said, where do we draw the line on this? And Victor even said it here too. I mean, this is, where do we go from this? I don't know.
I don't know.
That's the big thing, is like, and then high schools are changing names and things like that. It depends. I feel like it depends on the name. I feel like that's the big thing. And Washington Redskins, get rid of it, and get rid of it now. Daniel Snyder, get your head out of the sand and fix this. Okay? You have run from this too long. Fix it. And that's the thing. The reason why I think Washington is in this predicament is because he is the owner. And they're owners on, part owners that are like, oh no, I'm out.
Yeah.
So you got to now, Daniel Snyder. So, yeah, Voldy, I agree. I think we got to look at this and say, you know what? We got to draw the line on what, teams can change it, what teams, I mean, there's argument. I mean, for the Terriers one, bro, I mean, that's all I got to say. I mean, it's like, guys, we got to think logically here, too. We can't just like, well, it was referencing a movie, Gone with the Wind. Well, I mean, that's a little far-fetched, isn't it? I think. I just think that one doesn't make sense to me. So,
right.
This is an interesting topic, Voldy, and I think this got the zoners going a little bit. It got me going a little bit. I mean,
you know what the sad thing is about the whole situation?
Yeah.
The Redskins logo was actually designed, the current one that they have, was actually designed by a Native American. And people are still offended. University of North Dakota, the Fighting Hawks, those effing Hawks, formerly the Fighting Sioux, their logo was designed by a Native American. And people are still pissed.
Well,
yeah. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of things I wish I could say right now, and it's just, I don't get it.
Yeah. The
What's
fighting
offensive to some is acceptable to others.
Right.
There's no middle ground. We just can't let it be. We always got to start something, and this is just another reason why.
Right. So, I think, zoners chime in. What do you think? And again, this is something to where we're not trying to say, you're right, you're wrong, but
no,
this is a show where we express our opinions, the zoners express theirs, and again, until someone tells us, hey, I think this is wrong because of X, Y, and Z, okay? But, again, I don't understand. And now we're telling Native Americans to go back where they came from. We came, I don't want to get too political here, but when we first got here, we slaughtered them. And that's the thing. It's like, that's what we did, what our ancestors did is awful. Absolutely 1,000% awful what we did to the Native Americans. And again, they deserve, with the Redskins and everything like that, just get rid of it for their sake. Gosh, our ancestors, it's just someone somewhere is going to find something wrong with everything. Bingo.
There you go.
So let's just...
Unfortunately, you can't make everybody happy.
Yeah, you can't. You really can't. So we're going to leave it at that. Very good topic, Voldy. I think it's really controversial. But, we got to do a segment that I think it's going to be a little more lighthearted. And
I would certainly hope so.
It's one of our favorite segments. Absurd or approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
Okay, Voldy, I know where you're going with this first one because it was the big talk this week, and we got to talk about it because it's a lot of money. So why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Boy, I'll tell you, I don't know where I'm going to be in 10 years. I'll tell you right now, I won't have $503 million in my bank account.
Yeah.
But Patrick Mahomes II, rolling in that money, signed a 10-year, $477 million contract and can reach up to $503 million with incentives, performance bonuses, everything up to that. That's not even talking about all the endorsement deals he's got. He could end up a billionaire just off his playing career alone, looking at everything involved. But league MVP, Super Bowl champ, Super Bowl MVP in basically 2 years starting as a quarterback, National Football League. 10 years, up to $503 million in money. Highest paid player in the NFL. Highest paid player in the world. Absurd or approved, the deal itself, and how this is going to affect the NFL going forward.
Voldy, see, this one is like a double-decker because it's got my stamp of approval because, the Chiefs got their guy. But, oh my gosh, what an absurd amount of money. Oh my goodness. He could earn up to, just think about this. He could earn up to $503 million. This guy is, first of all, I am big fan of Patrick Mahomes. Curve Doctor is because he had him on his fantasy. Was it 2 years or a year ago?
2 years now.
2 years ago. Okay. Well, maybe you got to target him again because this guy, and again, I'm saying this right now, he is the best quarterback in the game right now. Okay. Under that, probably Lamar because I do like the way Lamar plays. He'll get paid, but I don't think he's going to get as much as Patrick Mahomes. But I think eventually that'll happen. But Patrick Mahomes, the guy literally won a Super Bowl, just a couple months ago. And he was in the AFC Championship game his second year, even though he didn't really play his first year because Alex Smith. But I've never seen a guy that was mobile, accurate, and has like a ridiculously strong arm. I mean, this guy is magic. I mean, honestly, like that. And the Vikings, I would have liked to see Mahomes play against, even though we probably would have lost, even though we already did lose to them with Matt Moore. Don't know why that happened. We should have won that game. But again, good coaching by Andy Reid, who I'm so happy for because Andy Reid definitely deserved that Super Bowl. He's been in this league for a while. He came close a couple times with the Philadelphia Eagles. And Andy Reid, how can you not love Andy Reid too? So I think this is the perfect marriage. And, I put out a comment. There's people chiming in about this. A guy named Daniel Halverson. And he's like, man, that's an absurd amount of money. And I said, the first thing I thought was, could I get some of that Mahomes, please? Can I have some of that money put in my back pocket? Again, an easy saying. Looks like he's playing backyard football. So obviously, it's got my stamp of approval. It's an absurd amount of money in a good way. Voldy, what do you think?
I mean, how can you not like this deal?
Yeah.
The guy is going to be, if he's not already, the face of the NFL, Super Bowl champ, Super Bowl MVP, already won a league MVP, and in his second full year starting, third year overall, I mean, he's already got 10 years, 150, 503 up to $1 million.
Yeah.
477 of it actually signed, but up to, 503 million. Chiefs get their guy. Andy Reid's got a guy he can depend on for however long he's going to keep coaching. And the Chiefs could probably win a few more Super Bowls with this combination that they have. And you throw in the likes of, you get the Kelsey, Travis Kelsey in there. I mean, it's nothing but a winning pedigree in Kansas City. Great football town. Great. Always liked, watching the Chiefs and seeing how they perform. Now they've got somebody that they can depend on. But looking at the deal overall, I mean, this is just going to blow everything up. Yeah. Everybody's going to want the Patrick Mahomes money. And, well, unless you start playing like Patrick Mahomes, not going to get that money. Mike Trout money as well. I mean, that's big-time money in the Major League Baseball ranks. Yeah. Not a lot of people are going to get that Mike Trout money either. That's why it's Mike Trout money and not, Nelson Cruz money or Joe Bag of Donuts money. Because it's just going to be the player gets the money that they earn. Let's just see if they do something with it. And, if we're talking 3-4 years down the road, maybe a couple more Super Bowls for Kansas City, talking about one of the greatest football teams of all time with one of the greatest players of all time. I said one of them, and say the greatest football player of all time, so I already know who that is. One of them.
Yeah.
Stamp of approval, by the way.
There you go. But, Voldy, I saw this stat, or this thing that ESPN posted. For every minute, Patrick Mahomes is making $96.
$96
1
a
minute. Yeah. Now, for an hour, $5,742. For 1 hour.
1 hour.
I mean, it's insane. This guy is going to own Kansas City. He already probably does. I mean, it's crazy. And, I think he deserves every cent of it. But, again, injuries could factor in. Who knows? We'll see what happens down the road. But at this point, what I'm seeing from this guy, give him his money. He's
got his money.
Yeah.
Now he just needs to go out there and make it worthwhile.
Exactly.
Which I think he will do.
Yeah. This won't be a Xavier deal, so we won't.
No, definitely not.
We won't go down that route. So, anyway, next one, Voldy.
Well, sticking with the National Football League, decisions are still yet to be made on the upcoming preseason schedule. They're already leaning towards the fact 2 preseason games. Now there's a possibility of the NFL, and quite possibly in cooperation with the Players Association, to cancel the entire preseason altogether and just hop right into the, regular season. Of course, there's going to be a little more time involved. There's a lot of factors going into it with the coronavirus pandemic, but no preseason football needs no 4 weeks of drama, no who's going to get cut, who's going to get not, who's going to be starting week 4 of the preseason, maybe playing for a job. All that's thrown out the window. Cut down the roster purely based on maybe inter-squad practices, scrimmages, and practices overall. Absurd or approved, the probability and the possibility of no NFL preseason.
Well, again, I think everyone else has been saying this, that the preseason, 4 games in the preseason, that's too much. I mean, the 4th one they treat as we'll just put a couple of guys that, might make the team, might not. We'll see how they play. I mean, the 4th is a joke. I mean, honestly. With the 2 game, I was like, yeah, sure. That makes sense. I get that. But I will say that if they don't have a preseason, I don't know how I feel about that. Because I feel like with preseason games, it gets you kind of ready for what's to come. And I think it works. But having no preseason, it's going to be sloppy play. And I understand why they would think to do this. Because I get it, because with the pandemic and everything like that. I mean, this whole second wave thing, which I think is technically already starting anyway. So we got to look at this and say, you know what? If they cancel the preseason, fine. But I still think it's a little absurd, in my view, Voldy, because I think they need to play against other teams in order to be ready for the season, right? So that's kind of the big thing I'm sitting at here, Voldy, is that they need to look at this from a different perspective and say, you know what, we're going to see where this goes, and if they do it, then okay, but I still think it's absurd. I think they should have at least 2 preseason games, maybe even just 1. I'd be fine with 1. So, Voldy, what do you think?
You need that minimum. You need at least 2 games, in my mind. League hasn't officially announced yet that they're reducing the preseason down from 4 to 2 because there's still a lot of time before that. Training can't get started here at the end of the month, but I don't know exactly if and when that's going to be happening, if it's going to be happening at all. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they did reduce it down from 4 to 2, just given the fact of everything, limit the amount of travel and what you're going to do with that time being with, these said missing preseason games, obviously a lot more practices, maybe a little inter-squad action going on. But if you don't have any preseason, you're not going to get a full evaluation of what your teams are capable of. Because those first 2 games, those are for the guys that know they're going to make the team. Maybe the 3rd game, a full dress rehearsal, as they call it, before game 4. Now it's just guys that are going to be fighting for, maybe practice squad jobs, maybe 3rd or 4th string guys in emergency situations. Me personally, I don't mind the preseason because it gets you, like we were talking about, gets you ready for what's going to be in store for the NFL coming back. It's football. It's not great football. Sometimes it's horrible football, but it's football. We need that, especially at a time. Who knows if the NFL season is going to happen at all? But if there is going to be a reduction, it needs to go from 4 to 2, not 4 to 0. So as of right now, if they do cancel the whole preseason, absolutely absurd. They need something in order to get the quality product that the NFL deserves to have.
Right. And you know what? This is something that they're going to get into an argument. Well, this needs to be done. We need to get paid this, blah, blah, blah. It's getting to a point where it's like, don't go the route the MLB did. Please do not. Because people have been waiting for something to look forward to, okay? Just follow through, please. Just do the 2-game preseason, please, and I'll be fine. If you do the 4, again, I feel like the 2 would make more sense, but I think it's absurd if they just are like, you know what, screw the preseason, we're just not going to do it. But safety of the players, I get that, but at the same time, I mean, you got to play against other teams, and also, guys trying to make the team too. I mean, Adam Thielen. I mean, if he was, in this position right now, who knows? He probably, with this pandemic, and then the Vikings are like, well, we're not going to sign you because blah, blah, blah. I mean, you could be missing out on an Adam Thielen type of player that was undrafted. So, got to think about that. NFL,
Gotta think about
PA.
it.
So, anyway, next one, Voldy.
All right, we got our next step. Well, the first professional sport in North America to come back finally has plans in place. We've got our 2 hub cities for the NHL, Toronto and Edmonton. We're going north to Alaska, or this time being Canada. Little paraphrase on that one. As of Sunday night, the NHL and the Players Association were still going back and forth on their actual plans and the new collective bargaining agreement to go along with the safety protocols for the upcoming resuming of the NHL season. Well, that finally passed. Training camp and 24-team tournament return-to-play protocols were approved by the Players Association Executive Committee, along with the new collective bargaining agreement to allow players to get back to the regular season. Hub cities going with plans. Games going to start, looks like August 1st, that they're saying that the start of the regular season. Eastern Conference teams will be in Toronto.
Yep.
Western Conference teams will be in Edmonton. 24-team tournament with the Stanley Cup Finals in Edmonton in early October.
Okay.
So August, September, October. Yeah, that sounds right. We'll go with that. Sir, to approve the return for hockey, as the lower third says, let's play hockey.
And then I'm going to add a 4th stamp of approval.
There it is.
I mean, that's kind of the big thing here, Voldy, is that they have a plan. And also, I found this interesting. If teams do not comply with the protocols, it could lead to significant financial penalties and potential loss of draft picks. So, listen, just comply with the protocols. That's all we're asking at this point. And, the Wild are definitely going to do that. But and all the other teams should too. So I look at this with this tournament. I mean, man, I really like the layout, Voldy. I mean, this is something to be really excited about. And, they're targeting July 13th start date, which I think is very doable. And again, this is something to where you have to make a decision if you're going to play or not. I mean, I think they're giving a deadline to some players saying, like, hey, let us know. If you opt out, fine. We understand. But you got to let them know. Because, this is something to where, we've never seen this, ever. So now we have to understand, like, hey, you know what? This is something that people can look forward to. We can finish off the season, and then, who knows with what's coming up, after this season. So, yeah, it's got my stamp of approval, and I'm excited to see the Wild play in Edmonton. And you know what? I think, who knows? They can make a run. We'll see. Voldy, what do you think?
I mean, it's got my stamp of approval. It's about time they came out with a plan because, they were the first ones to say, yeah, we're coming back, but there literally was no news after that. Finding out that they're going to have hub cities and then find out, oh, yeah, now we have our player protocols and everything put together. Yeah, we're going to be good to go. Well, yeah, you should have had that like a month ago. But obviously, all the other sports filling up the news pages and everything and the sports pages and everything with that. And just how it ends up. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to see the Minnesota Wild make a run. If there's ever going to be a chance for them to win the Stanley Cup, it might as well be in a shortened season. And, hey, you don't have to be the best team out there. You just have to be the best team that night.
That's true.
Just got to put a few of those together. It's got my stamp of approval.
Yeah, and again, let's play hockey. Let's do it.
Exactly.
It'll be fun. So, yeah, it's got both of our stamp of approvals. Zoners, again, chime in. I've seen some people chime in already.
Let us know.
Give us some stamps of approval. So, anyway, next one, Voldy.
Well, finally, we have a season schedule for the Minnesota Twins. 60-game slate set to begin July 24th in Chicago against the White Sox. For the Minnesota Twins, looking at it, they will actually start before that an exhibition game in Chicago against the Chicago Cubs. Going to be seeing them quite a bit this year with the whole regional play and everything, with the AL Central taking on the NL Central, which is great. More games against the Brewers. Get to take on the Cardinals. You get to face the Reds. You get to take on the Cubs a lot more, even a little bit of Pittsburgh as well. Throw those guys in there with the NL Central. I mean, it's great, including the last 12 of the last 15 of the 12 of the last 15 games against AL Central opponents. If we know anything about the American League Central, it always comes down the last weekend of the season to who comes out with that division title. Looking at the schedule overall, absurd or approved for the Twins?
Stamp of approval, because I don't even see them playing the Yankees. So that's good. Obviously, under the circumstances. But I'm looking. They play Detroit a lot. They play the White Sox. Again, the White Sox are supposed to be, an improved team. But
definitely. Man,
I'm looking at the schedule, Voldy, and I'm thinking, it might be 60 and... Oh, no, I'm kidding.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to go that far. I mean, St. Louis is still a pretty doggone good team.
That they
if
are.
you're going to be... taking on teams like, the Indians are still there. They're going to be a tough team to play. Kansas City, they play, they should be able to handle them. Pittsburgh, another team that's, they have their ups and downs. But the Brewers, I think that's going to be a key series because the Brewers are a team that, Christian Yelich, even though he looks like one of our good friends, Rick Jensen.
Yeah, he does.
But it's going to be interesting. I'm looking at those games, Voldy, and I think they're going to be very key to their success. And, they go to Milwaukee first, and then they come home against the Brew Crew. So, yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing. And I think this isn't – I don't want to go too far ahead, but I don't think it's so tough that, they won't have a shot at the playoffs. I'm looking at this and saying, hey – they could win the division again, and who knows? Maybe they can make a run, unless hopefully they don't have to play the Yankees. But anyway, stamp of approval, Voldy. I think the Twinkies, watch out. So
we're hoping so.
What do you think?
It's going to be a tough division this year.
Sure.
White Sox have improved a lot. They picked up a lot of offseason guys that have made fans excited down on the south side once again. See if they can piece it all together. The Indians, Cleveland, has always been a team that's, been a model of consistency in the last half decade. Detroit, who knows what you're going to get with them. Hot garbage last year. Probably going to be more hot garbage this year. Then you throw in, with the matchups that we've got with the NL Central, really good ball teams. We were talking about the Brewers. That's going to be a tough series overall. They've been a team that's been fairly consistent again the last half decade, while also the likes of St. Louis in there. You throw Cincinnati, which is an up and coming team.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh is a middle of the road team that doesn't have a whole lot to offer other than a couple of hot prospects that they've got coming up over the last couple of years. Kansas City, who knows with Kansas City? It's a coin flip each year if they're going to be really good, if they're going to be really bad. But overall, I think the Twins got a real decent shot this year. If they can put it all together, the guys that they've got stay healthy, even the new guys that they got in the rotation and the back half of the bullpen. How about a guy by the name of Josh Donaldson getting some big-time money to throw a bat in there? Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Crazy.
Josh,
Twins got a decent shot at taking the whole thing.
Yeah. Stamp of approval on the schedule of Voldy.
Stamp of approval of the season schedule. I don't know if you guys heard that.
Yeah. Oh, we heard
Big
it.
crack of thunder.
It's
holy cow.
Yeah, there's a storm coming Voldy's way, so hopefully
it is nasty out there.
Power doesn't go out, so
don't worry.
We'll keep
I got
an
my
eye
backup. I got my flashlight. We'll be good.
We're good. So, anyway, last one, Voldy.
All right, so we go back to our boy. You know what I should have done?
What?
I should have worn my Pablo Sandoval
The Panda.
San Francisco Giants jersey because we're talking about our boy Kung Fu Panda. And of course, he's not a small boy. He's a big boy.
No, he's a big guy.
Size and the round middle figure that he has back in the headlines once again, as Pablo Sandoval is expected that, according to manager Gabe Kapler in his first year with the Giants, to be ready and in game shape to contribute by opening day later this month. And even during, the little bit of a layoff that he had down in Scottsdale, Arizona, certainly enjoying the finest of all cuisine down in Arizona as well. But this has been something that Sandoval's been dealing with basically his whole career.
Yep.
It was a big detractor of his short time in Boston when they gave him that big deal, and he never came around to performing at the level that he should have. Couple different stints with the Giants now. He's back once again, playing for a spot, maybe get, finish off his career the way that he should as a Giant and remembered for, those great runs that he had in the World Series as a, MVP of the World Series too. But you look at it overall, you would think sooner or later something would click when it comes to being in shape and ready for the season.
Yeah.
Absurd to approve the fact that Pablo Sandoval still not quite in game shape.
Well, I think the weather has thoughts about that. Wow, that was a big one. Kerf Doctor was showing me the radar, and it's really storming over there, Voldy. Oh, man. But anyway, going back to the Panda. I feel like this has been kind of the running joke with Sandoval. And honestly, he underwent season-ending Tommy John surgery last September, and he's at 5'11", 268 pounds. But I mean, the guy is not that bad. Yes, he didn't do well with Boston, but again, he's not a bad baseball player. I mean, the guy can play. I mean, he batted 268, 14 homers, 23 doubles, 41 RBIs in 2019. So, I mean, this is a guy that could, do some damage still. But I think our expert on the Los Gigantes, the one and only, Coach Payne, what do you think of the Panda? No. But, we might have to ask him about that with Coach Payne. But, yeah, I think people need to leave it alone. I think it's a little absurd because, you know what? He's a baseball player, and I think he understands, like, hey, I can't, get to, if he was, 300 or something like that, I'd be concerned. I mean, obviously, I don't know if it's all muscle or anything like that. But this guy is really, the Panda is not bad. Okay, so I think it's a little absurd that people are, going after him for that. But hey, you know what? He's a good DH too. So, what do you think, Voldy?
People tend to look at it at the same time as, he's not being professional. He's just slacking off in the off season, relying on whatever talent he's got still left. At this point, I can see it. 33 years old. He's only 5'11", 5'11", right. 268 pounds. That's going to be a little bit of some, width as opposed to the height. If you stretch him out a few more inches, it'd probably even out. Yeah. But the man is certainly, I wouldn't say he's earned the right, but he's in the same category of a lot of prolific, players in this century as well. Part of those great teams with the San Francisco Giants, 2010, 2012, he was a force to be reckoned with those championship teams with San Francisco. Sure, he got that big contract with Boston and just squandered it. Still upset about that. I think Red Sox are still paying for Pablo Sandoval while the Giants just get him for free. Yikes. And this is something that, he hasn't fully addressed. Is it something that continues to make headlines? Yes. Does it need to? Absolutely not. Because, again, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier with Voldy's virtues. People are always going to find something to complain about and make it a problem, and everybody else. Victor said that as well. Yeah. And I certainly like Pablo Sandoval. Do I wish he'd probably take care of himself a little bit better in the offseason? Yes. Is that my decision to make? No, that's his decision. It's his life. He can screw it up how he wants to, but he's still in the major leagues some way, somehow, getting paid to play the sport that he loves. So he's got to figure it out some way.
And I think about it like a Kirk Cousins, too. I mean, like all the talent, but he can't win the big games, everything
win in
like
prime
that.
time.
It's like, that's the only stat that they care about, because it's like, well, it's the only stat you should care about. Well, football's a team sport, too,
It really is.
It's kind of a comparison to that, but Pablo Sandoval, I mean, I feel like this is something that people need to stop weighing in on, and you know what? Leave it alone. Leave it alone. That's all you got to do. So, anyway, great job, Voldy, with the ARA stories, and a lot of zoners chiming into that, so we appreciate it. But, Voldy, you have some good shout-outs this week, so I think we should get into it. Here's some Shield shout-outs.
Shield shout-outs.
Shield was riding through the rain, what's happening right now, and he got here. So, hey, it's time for some Shield shout-outs. So, Shield, who are you shouting out?
Well, pretty soon I'm going to be riding through a tornado. It's getting pretty dicey
Yeah,
out there. But another weekly reminder, be sure to buy your T-shirts, MinneZona Sports Live. Get a hold of me, get a hold of Curve Doctor, get a hold of DJ Matty C. There they are, the true zoners. Join that extremely small list of what it could be by getting your MinneZona Sports Live shirts. $20 a shirt, $5 for shipping, Venmo, any way that you can send
PayPal,
cash to somebody, we'll make it work. That is how we do business. Be sure to get your shirts. We got tons of them. We need to sell them. We want to make you guys look good.
Yeah, shout out to Sam Gabrielli for having a Zona shirt. He's a weather guy, too, so maybe we should have checked with him.
We should have had a live weather report before we did the show. Yes.
We could probably make it work. We'll talk to Gabs. So, anyway, continue. Go ahead.
Next Shield shout-out. Well, it was 1 year ago today that officially started my new job, my new position in Aiken, Minnesota, KKIN Radio 1 year ago today. I had to remind myself multiple times. It's been a year. It still feels like I moved here 2 months ago. And we moved across town.
You did?
We moved from one apartment to the Woods and Shore studios here. That was only in February, and it still feels like we just moved to town. But it's been crazy how much in one calendar year, going from South Dakota to Minnesota to here right now at the Woods and Shore studios, that things have happened. It's been crazy. It's been awesome. It's been great. And, I'm very happy where I am right now. Me and Sarah are both very happy where we are and looking forward to see what happens a year from now. Who knows?
Crazy. It's flown by.
It has flown by. Not only a happy anniversary for myself, do have to send a special Shield shout out to and a happy anniversary to KTTC Sports Director Pat Lund, a very good friend of the Volds. 30 years serving as the sports director for the NBC TV affiliate in Rochester. Congratulations to Pat. Kind of gave me a little bit of a nudge when it was in broadcasting school and said, what do you want to do? And, kind of gave me that little nudge and that little bit of confidence to put me out where I am. Congratulations, Pat. Well-deserved. And we'll see what happens in another 30 years. And, always keep an eye out for old Pat Lund on KTTC TV. Fantastic to see.
Boom.
I definitely got to send another Shield shout-out over the weekend. I had some time here in the last couple of days. Get set up here with, I've gotten into a bit of a knack requesting patches from like fire and police departments. That's how thick the stack has gotten. That's almost 30 patches right there.
Wow.
And I got a few more yesterday, but I got hooked up thanks to a good family friend, Mike Bromberg, who hooked us up, hooked me and my dad up as well threw him some patches from
Sure.
from Germany, an old East Germany patch that doesn't even exist anymore.
Wow.
California, Missouri, Canada, California, even old Olmsted County down in Rochester.
Wow.
Great bunch of them. Still got more coming as well. So thank you to Mike and thanks to Jimbo for the hookup as well with the patches.
I mean, what can't Jimbo do at this point?
It really, honestly, whatever the imagination takes him.
Well, I mean, we like a Zona patch. I mean, is that possible?
Got to get that going. We got to get those going. Absolutely.
You know,
a couple other patches came my way yesterday. Aiken Police Department, thank you to Chief Tim Catlin for that. Pequot Lakes Fire Department as well. Thank you to Chief Tom Nelson as well for hooking us up with a couple of great patches. Over the holiday, 4th of July weekend down at Howard Lake, got to hang out with the Volds as well. Thanks to my brother, Dixon James Vold, DJ Vold, for some new shoes that he found for me at the Burlington Coat Factory. Kind of hard to find shoes my size, so luckily enough was able to find size 15s, and we're good now for a good long while. Some good brands as well. I definitely got to send a shield shout out as well to Ama V, who's probably watching right now. Thank you for the John Hardy sauce. Favorite barbecue joint down in Rochester. Me and Victor know exactly what we're talking about. For all our zoners down in the Byron, Rochester area, you know what we're talking about with John Hardy's. Great barbecue sauce, great barbecue place overall.
You gotta love it.
It just makes me even more hungry just thinking about it. Oh,
I gotta try it. I mean, that sounds really good.
You gotta go down there sometime.
Yeah. Turf Doctor will have to try it too. I mean, shoot. We'll have to.
Finally, for Shield shoutouts, got to send a special Shield shout out on 2 different levels. One to Sarah's cousin, Lindsay Skaggs, who is going to be continuing her education in her master's degree at the University of Florida. She's going to be starting with a program down there. And also, she's got a little bit of a side hustle going on now. Follow her on Instagram. Clever Print Co. is the name of the customizing. She's got a couple things posted on the Instagram page. It's fairly new. She just followed me the other day, so I checked it out. Really good stuff. Anything you can customize to your heart's desire, she'll make it happen. Follow her on Instagram. That's Clear Print Co. That's the name of it. PayPal, Venmo, ship anywhere in the United States. Check it out. Special Shield shout out to Lindsay Skaggs. That's going to do it for Shield shout outs this week.
Man, I got to check that out. That sounds great. So we'll get to that. And hey, you know what? Another show in the books. But with that, unfortunately, Zoners, we will not be live next week. I know. I'm sorry. We're out. But hey, you know what, Voldy? Even though we're going to be out next week, sports will be starting up when we get back.
We're hoping.
There is light at the end of the tunnel. So, hey, we'll be, fingers crossed. Exactly.
Still a lot of time for that to get screwed up. I'm on the edge of my seat because there's so many things that can still go wrong before the first pitch is thrown, before the first basket, before anything happens. Still so much that can still go wrong.
Yes, Easy A, we need sports. Okay.
We need it.
So just make sure, you're staying safe and everything like that. And hopefully, people had a good 4th of July. It sounded like all the zoners had a good time. They were safe and everything along those lines. And again, too, get your shirts. We had some people chime in. Matt Metzler has got his.
He did.
I believe he sent via Venmo to Jimbo. Remember, if you want a shirt, talk to us. We got shirts, man. I mean, it's awesome. And then the guy, the bald guy right there, Will Rattel, he's got a podcast. It's called W2 Performance. Check it out. He just posted a new video, which I'll be checking out here later, hopefully. So make sure to follow my guy, subscribe on YouTube, the whole works. We appreciate Will Rattel. Red Pepper, we're working on that. Hopefully we can do a Voldy's Vlogs type of thing. Turf Doctor and I have been kind of thinking about that, Voldy as well. So, hey, we'll see what happens. But anyway, Zoners, we appreciate you, but we'll be back in 2 weeks, and we'll have sports. Fingers crossed. Stay safe. Wear a mask. The whole kit and caboodle. And remember, folks, always keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.